online in various ways using artificial intelligence, AI, I don't know, and things like that sent to her family members. And considering what she is implying or laying out or insinuating here, and there's really no insinuation.
Angel Reese has made a shocking claim, accusing fans of Caitlin Clark of using AI to sexualize her. However, Jason Whitlock isn't convinced and is pushing back hard, saying Reese is shifting blame instead of telling the full story. Before diving deeper, the video asks viewers to support the channel by liking and subscribing, noting that most viewers aren't subscribed even though it helps the channel significantly. Getting back to the controversy, the situation has taken another turn with Whitlock offering a fiery response. He outright rejects Reese's accusations and questions their credibility. Whitlock challenges the idea that Clark's fans are responsible, arguing that Reese is unfairly linking every negative experience she has to Caitlin Clark and her supporters. According to him, there's no solid evidence behind her claims. He doesn't hold back, accusing Reese of being dishonest and calling out what he sees as a misleading narrative. The big question remains, is Reese truly a victim, or is there more beneath the surface of this ongoing drama?
I guess all of this racist behavior has been thrust upon Angel Reese, so to speak.
This is where the debate takes an interesting turn. Whitlock portrays Caitlin Clark's fans as everyday, family-oriented people, suggesting they don't fit the profile of individuals who would create or spread explicit AI-generated images. He questions whether it's reasonable to believe that this group would be responsible for something like that at all.
Online in various ways using artificial intelligence, AI, I don't know, and things like that sent to her family members.
It's a reasonable question to ask. After all, we're talking about basketball fans, not highly skilled online trolls. If Clark supporters aren't responsible, then what's really happening? Whitlock has a controversial theory. He believes Reese may be using the situation to draw more attention to herself. In his view, she's positioning herself as a victim to shift focus away from criticism of her own behavior and public image. Whitlock also pushes back against the idea that any criticism of Reese is automatically rooted in racism. He argues that some of her supporters treat all negative feedback as racially motivated, but he insists that this shuts down legitimate discussion. According to Whitlock, it's important to step back and examine the broader context instead of reducing every disagreement to racial bias. He then makes perhaps his boldest claim yet, that without Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese might not have reached her current level of fame. The rivalry between the two athletes has dominated media coverage and fueled much of the recent attention on women's basketball. Whitlock believes Reese is leveraging this rivalry to her advantage, keeping herself in the spotlight by creating controversy and repeatedly tying her name to Clark's, even in negative situations. The lingering question is whether this tactic is ultimately hurting Reese, as constant comparisons and accusations may start to work against her rather than for her.
In all this was the fact that evidently she is saying some Caitlin Clark fans have sexualized her.
And was, the Indiana Fever fans were basically harassing her. They were the racist ones, saying they were stalking her.
Is Reese actually giving Clark more influence in the situation? By constantly bringing her up, it may be that she's unintentionally making Clark the focal point of her own narrative, rather than highlighting her performance and accomplishments on the court. Whitlock's perspective forces people to reconsider what they think they know about this WNBA controversy. He urges viewers to look past the surface-level claims and consider the broader implications. Is this truly about alleged AI-generated images, or is there a deeper motive at play? And when Reese previously said there was no animosity between her and Clark, that statement now takes on a much more complicated meaning.
Or is things being done to make Caitlin Clark fans look bad? Because what I've seen on TV, Caitlin Clark fans look like regular families. And considering what she is implying or laying out or insinuating here, and there's really no insinuation.
The focus now shifts to Reese's social media presence, and according to Whitlock, that changes the entire conversation. Reese has openly acknowledged that the media has fueled her rivalry with Caitlin Clark, yet she also blames Clark's fans for the negative attention she receives. To Whitlock, that contradiction raises serious questions. He points to Reese's online activity, describing it as a carefully curated showcase of her lifestyle. While it may appear harmless on the surface, Whitlock argues that she presents herself very publicly through photos and videos, fully aware of the attention it draws. From his perspective, it seems inconsistent for Reese to promote a highly visible image and then act surprised when people respond to it in a sexualized way. Whitlock suggests that she's trying to have it both ways, embracing the spotlight while condemning the reactions it generates. He goes even further, questioning whether the people Reese is blaming are actually Caitlin Clark fans at all. Whitlock doubts that claim and instead believes Reese may be using the controversy to keep herself relevant. The rivalry with Clark has played a major role in elevating her profile, and the two athletes have become inseparable in media coverage. In Whitlock's view, Reese's fame is closely tied to Clark's, whether she admits it or not. That leads to a bigger question. Is Reese intentionally using the rivalry and now these accusations to stay in the headlines? One moment she claims there's no animosity, and the next she's accusing Clark's fanbase. Whitlock suggests that by constantly bringing Clark into the conversation, Reese may actually be increasing Clark's popularity while reinforcing their connection in the public eye. Whitlock also criticizes Reese for invoking racism in response to criticism. He says he becomes skeptical when that argument is raised, suggesting she may be using it as a defense mechanism rather than addressing legitimate concerns. From his perspective, this isn't just about online harassment or AI images. It's about accountability, image management, and how Reese navigates fame in the middle of a highly publicized rivalry.
And decided to, in a broad bubble, a broad envelope, blame Caitlin Clark fans for all of this. Wait a second here. If you're going to blame anybody for sexualizing Angel Reese, then blame Angel Reese.
It's a serious claim. Whitlock is essentially arguing that not every negative experience Reese faces is tied to race. That's where the conversation becomes complicated. He challenges people to consider whether all criticism of Reese is truly rooted in racism, or whether some of it is simply criticism that comes with being a public figure. It's an uncomfortable but important question. Whitlock points out that when any athlete does something controversial, fans are naturally going to react. That scrutiny is part of life in the spotlight. The real issue, he argues, is determining where legitimate criticism ends and racism begins. He questions the logic behind blaming Caitlin Clark's fans for AI-generated images, asking how Clark herself factors into that accusation at all. At this point, the discussion moves beyond Reese and basketball. It becomes a broader conversation about race, sports, and how society handles difficult topics. Are we too quick to label every disagreement as racism, or does that tendency risk minimizing real instances of racial injustice? Whitlock warns that overusing such accusations can dilute their impact, comparing it to crying wolf, where serious concerns eventually stop being taken seriously. Ultimately, Whitlock is calling for clarity and honesty. He believes meaningful conversations about racism can get lost when personal conflicts and rivalries take center stage. This controversy, he suggests, forces us to reflect on how we approach sensitive issues, whether we can separate personal disputes from larger societal problems and engage in these conversations thoughtfully and responsibly.